strains. And months after the ODI World Cup 2023 final heartbreak, former batting coach Vikram Rathore has recalled how words of motivation from the Prime Minister lifted the players' moods in the dressing room, their spirits in the dressing room, and says that's what a real leader truly is. Let's move on, ladies and gentlemen, and then talk about the main debate, the big story, and that continues to be around women's safety, around what's happening in Kolkata, the RG Medical College, the 31-year-old trainee doctor who was raped, who was sexually assaulted, then murdered brutally. And now the top court of our country has taken suo motu cognizance, and the courts have come down very, very heavily. Over 10 days have passed, and protests across the country are only growing more intense over what happened at the RG Medical College. While Mamata Banerjee, the Chief Minister, has conveniently labelled the anger and outrage against her and her administration as a political conspiracy, the allegations and unresolved aspects of the case point squarely at the missteps of those under her aegis, because she is also the Health Minister and Home Minister of the state of Bengal. Now, earlier in the day, the top court, the Supreme Court, came down heavily on the Bengal government for the delay in registering an FIR and destruction of the crime scene. After the Supreme Court's order, a scuffle also broke out between police personnel and ABVP protesters who demanded the resignation of Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee. Looks like the state government has not paid heed to the Supreme Court's order, which earlier in the day had asked the state to refrain from unleashing its power on peaceful protesters. Bengal witnessing an unprecedented wave of protests, with the state's Chief Minister facing intense and extraordinary pressure like never before. The larger question, though, is, given the observations by the top court of the country, given the protests on the street, Bengal, is it now truly unsafe for Betis? Let's now look at how the Mamata government has faced the top court's ire through the day. Earlier in the day, now while questioning the delay in filing of the FIR, the top court asked the state government, why did the principal try to pass the incident off as suicide initially? Why were parents not allowed to see their daughter's body and were made to wait for hours? Referring to the RG ex-principal Sandeep Ghosh, given the charge of Calcutta National Medical College soon after he resigned from RG Medical College, the top court questioned the rehabilitation decision of the state government and why. The SC further cited that if the autopsy was done by 4:45 p.m. and the body was taken for cremation at 8:30 p.m., then why was the FIR registered only at 11:45 p.m. the subsequent day? Why did no one at the hospital initially bother to register an FIR? The Supreme Court also wondered, was it not clear by the autopsy that what was already done, that this was a case of rape and murder? Then why was this entire suicide theory pushed, and why weren't the assaulters immediately nabbed? Many questions that were asked. And also the suggestion to set up a national task force to ensure safety in workplaces. The victims' parents also made some very, very massive allegations against the principal and the entire department and the state administration. They spent a few hours engaging with the CBI and answered some of their questions, and the parents have alleged that a deliberate attempt was made to destroy evidence. This is something that they have stated even in the Calcutta High Court. Parents have alleged that the principal and the entire department was involved in the conspiracy leading to their daughter's death. They are also claiming that their daughter was cremated in haste, further adding up to the destruction of the evidence theory. The parents have also questioned the role of the cops on how they tried to close the entire matter quickly and hush up the matter, or bury the whole incident perhaps. They have also highlighted the fact that the Chief Minister has tried every possible step to stop the growing protests demanding justice for their daughter. Is Bengal safe for Betis? And what Sandesh Khali didn't, will the RG incident do in terms of proving to be the undoing of Mamata Banerjee and her government in Bengal in their failure overall over the years to protect Bengal's women? That's the larger question. Shatarupaji, spokesperson of the Bengal BJP with us, Dr. Anand Ranganathan, author, scientist and also political commentator with us, and Anirban Banerjee, political analyst. Namaste and Jai Hind to everybody. Thank you very, very much. Dr. Ranganathan, what do you make of the Supreme Court's comments today? The hearing continues and they have not even come up to the vandalism aspect of it yet.
Good evening, Anand, and good evening to my fellow panelists. Look, the revelations that have come out from the Supreme Court proceedings today, I'm afraid, Anand, are nothing short of shocking. In any civilized country, heads would have rolled by now. Anand, seldom can one feel the sense of outrage and helplessness as one does now upon learning that the FIR was registered a full 10 hours after autopsy and a full 3 hours after the body was handed over for cremation. But that's not all. Cruelly, it was filed not by the principal of the medical college where the rape and murder took place, but by the father of the deceased. The father filed the FIR. The father was the first respondent. This came out today. This was asked by the Supreme Court Judge Pardiwala and was clarified by the Bengal Council, Mr. Sibal. The father filed the FIR, not the principal. And this very principal was then rewarded with headship of Calcutta National Medical College, one of the India's most prestigious medical colleges. Anand, seldom can one feel the sense of outrage and helplessness as one does now upon learning that on the very day we celebrated our independence, an army of goons, 7,000 and not 40 as was claimed by some YouTuber. These goons and thugs beat up protesting doctors, destroyed medical equipment, tried to climb up girls' hostel through the back, and instead of nabbing them, the West Bengal police was busy chasing doctors who were tweeting on the incident and forcing them to delete their tweets. Seldom can one feel the sense of outrage and helplessness as one does now, Anand, upon learning that the Chief Minister of Bengal, who is also the Health Minister, ratified the transfer of 42 doctors and 150 nurses, many of whom were actually protesting. She took back this order after much outrage. Anand, seldom can one feel the sense of outrage and helplessness as one does now upon learning that Dr. Kunal Sarkar, a renowned cardiac surgeon, adjunct faculty at Imperial College London, world's leading authority on Lima CABG, was summoned to a police station over his angst-ridden and distraught remarks over the rape. Anand, I cannot believe, honestly, I cannot believe our country can be so cruel towards our doctors. They are the real heroes. Have we forgotten already that 1,600 of them died during COVID, saving our lives? Have we forgotten that 75% of Indian doctors have faced physical violence while on duty? But as I said, it's not about what you or I believe, Anand. We can only watch, not act. In this, I'm afraid we also have something in common with our Prime Minister Modi. He also is only watching, not acting.
There's a lot of angst and there's a lot of ire, but in this case, law and order is a subject of the state, and in this case, the expectation is from Ms. Mamata Banerjee, the Chief Minister, the Health Minister, the Home Minister of the state of Bengal, who has perhaps the most popular and unprecedented mandate with which she continues to govern Bengal. That's her responsibility. Anirban, your response to Anand Ranganathan?
Along with a lot of this and that, there is also a lot of misinformation propagated either willfully or unknowingly, I do not know. Even you were not free from that particular problem this time regarding the timing of the FIR file, etc., etc. Too much lies are being spread around. An FIR of unnatural death was registered as soon as the issue came to light. And that was done by the hospital administration, and the Calcutta High Court actually questioned why an FIR of unnatural death and not of murder or rape, etc. So that FIR was not lodged until 10 hours after autopsy, as Anand Ranganathan was claiming, is completely false, because the autopsy took place at around 6 p.m., at around 5:30 to 6 p.m. To be exact, and the inquest was done in the afternoon. The unnatural death case was already registered even before the inquest started. It was only converted to FIR of murder and rape after the inquest report confirmed the same. So these kind of misinformations, I'll really request everyone to refrain from that. Fight TMC or the state government politically, you have every right to do so. But in this case, when Anand was also referring to the summoning of a few doctors, the specific case of Kunal Sarkar, I am not very sure what he posted, but there was another doctor, Dr. Subarna Goswami, who was also summoned alongside Dr. Kunal Sarkar. I'll categorically mention that Dr. Subarna Goswami intentionally lied about the post-mortem report and later retracted from his words only after he was summoned by the police. Therefore, if some people are trying to lie knowingly to confuse the masses to lead them astray, to instigate them, then the police will have to act. Nobody had the post-mortem report in their hands except for the police, the doctors and the families, and yet there were a number of people floating around the theory of 151 grams of semen. Even some mainstream media channels actually reported that as facts. So these, I do not know whether you will consider these as criminal acts or not, but this is something you should not do. The girl, the victim, has been brutally murdered, brutally raped. That has been confirmed by the inquest report and later on by the PM report as well. But what are you really getting out of spreading these kind of misinformation, false informations? You are actually dishonoring the victim over and over again. We can fight all we want to, the BJP, CPIM, Congress, etc., TMC. These political fights go on throughout the year and will again take place. But at least for this girl, for this victim girl, can we not stop playing petty politics and really demand that a proper investigation, a proper trial takes place? The real culprits, whoever they might be, they actually go behind bars. That is something we all can demand. Politics can come later.
Right. Now, Anirban,
I
appreciate, please. Yeah, sure, I'm coming to. Appreciate the sentiment that you have expressed, Anirban. But there are a few points that we would all like to make. But first, Dr. Ranganathan, since your entire claim has been challenged, Shatarupaji coming to you after that. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan.
Thank you, Anand, and thank you, Anirban Da. I really respect him. He is a wonderful friend and very erudite. But he must know something by now. And it's been years. I have never ever talked without facts. So let me now here quote the judges of the Supreme Court verbatim. Okay, this is from Law Live. This is direct proceedings of the Supreme Court, Anand. Justice Pardiwala, quote, who is the first informant who filed the FIR? What is the time of the FIR? Sibbal, who is the counsel for Bengal. First father of deceased and then VP of the hospital, Justice Pardiwala. Whose complaint came first? Sibbal, father, 11:45 p.m. Now this is Justice Chandrachud. What time was the body handed over for cremation? Counsel, 8:30 p.m. Chief Justice Chandrachud. FIR filed 3 hours after the body handed over? Chief Justice Chandrachud. Between 1:45 to 4 p.m. autopsy took place. Chief Justice Chandrachud. Autopsy reveals that this is case where doctor is murdered. The FIR is registered at 11:45 p.m. What was the principal board in the hospital doing? So Anirban Da, will you please apologize and take back your words? The father was the one who was the first respondent as accepted by Mr. Sibbal himself.
Now here is the thing. What has happened is, Anirban has started what is said in the Kolkata High Court. You have quoted what Mr. Sibbal, representing the Bengal government, stated in the Honorable Supreme Court.
Yes.
Now, very interestingly, there is a variance in what the Bengal government suggested and presented in the Kolkata High Court and what the Kolkata High Court noted. And there is a variance in what the Bengal government's counsel, Mr. Sibbal, seems to have presented to the Honorable bench in the Honorable Supreme Court.
My God, this is contempt.
There is no variance. There is no variance. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because when the incident came to light, it was around I think 9:30 to 10 a.m. in the morning. After that, the CP of Kolkata police, he rushed to the spot with other officials, and in a due process, an unnatural death case, what we say as UD case, was filed at the Tala police station. I do not know of the exact time, but it must have been around noon. So correct. After that, it wasn't the autopsy that actually took place for between that time. It was the inquest that took place in the presence of a magistrate. It was videographed. I don't know, maybe words have been missed by the counsel. I am not very sure. The autopsy took place in the evening time after the inquest was done.
But you would agree, Anirban, that the rape and murder and the incident came to light not that day, the noon that you talk about when the Kolkata police commissioner came. That was when there was uproar.
It was in the morning time.
Happened in the VR. It happened in the VRs. No, the incident took place in the hospital in the VRs. The parents were informed the previous night at 10:53 p.m.
Yes.
And then the body was handed over, or they were allowed to see the mortal remains of their daughter only at 3 a.m. And at that time, what was told by the hospital?
No, not the previous night, that morning, not the previous night.
So, what was the hospital's version? What was the hospital's version? First version to the hospital.
That is the part I was trying to
What
come
did
to,
the
that
hospital try?
Somebody from the hospital. Somebody from the hospital claiming himself or herself to be the assistant super called up the family members of the victim and said that it was a case of suicide. That is a mysterious thing.
Did
that
the principal counter that?
Of that particular
did
caller.
The principal principal Sandeep Ghosh immediately counter that when the parents came?
Let me complete that point.
Go ahead.
Let me complete. So that particular caller, the identity of that particular caller, even the CBI, it has been already 8 days. We should actually question the CBI about the identity of that particular caller in this case. We all want to know who from the
okay. Now just 1 second. I'm just saying, is the principal Sandeep Ghosh anywhere on record owning up immediately to the parents that it is actually a rape and sexual assault, it's a sexual assault and murder case? Did the principal ever call the cops and say, come here immediately, there's something very, very drastic that's happened? Did the principal not order renovation around the same time when they're supposed to be, the entire area supposed to be marked out for to ensure safety of evidence? No. The other thing. My simple question, Shatrupa has not yet spoken. 1 second, Shatrupa ji. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan, and then I'll go to Shatrupa ji. We've not allowed her to speak at all.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry I'm taking Shatrupa ji's time, but I promise I won't take more than 20 seconds. I'm very thankful to Anirban Da. Also, we're having a very tempered discussion because this is a very serious matter. Will Anirban Da accept what I quoted verbatim of Justice Pardiwala, Supreme Court judge, and Mr. Sibbal's response? Will he accept that Mr. Sibbal was telling the truth when he said that the father was the first informant and FIR was lodged at 11:45 p.m.? Yes or no, sir? Anirban Da, yes or no?
As I told you, it's a process that when a body is discovered, in this case, an unnatural death case was registered by the police, by the Tala police station. I'm telling you, it has been presented before the Calcutta High Court as well. But when it transforms into an FIR of specific identity of a person and whatever happened, murder or rape in this case, then you consider it as an FIR upon which you are again beginning the investigation.
Correct, but that was that.
New information.
But that actual one should have come from the. It should have come from the point being made is it should have come from the hospital. It came from the father.
By the principal, yes, that I agree.
That's the point. Now, Shatrupa ji, the other point. Shatrupa, the other. Thank you for your patience. Now, in this case, why is it that we see so many people out on the streets, not just in Kolkata, all across Bengal? And this seems to be the middle class, that which generally stays away from all of this, keeps the door closed, shuts it down, does not want to get into any politics. That's the crowd that we are seeing out. And they were there out for 10 to 15 days before the matter even was taken seriously by the government itself.
No, Anand, first of all, it is very true that this entire incident cutting across political lines. I mean, this is one time that we really don't need to do BJP and Trinamool and CPM and Congress, because now I think the entire judgment has gone on to the public, not only of Kolkata, not only of West Bengal, not only of India, it has even reached international quarters, and everybody is angry, and the only thing that they're saying is we demand justice. Now why? That's your question. I think it is because of the innumerable amount of atrocities on women. Yes, it has happened all over India, I'm not going to deny that. But when it happens in West Bengal, you have a woman chief minister who's constantly denouncing these things, even often trying to normalize rape with insensitive comments like either it is a sajano ghatona or dushtu chelera kore feleche, naughty boys have just about entertained themselves, or one 14-year-old girl, when she gets raped, the chief minister on a different forum asks to find out whether she was having an affair, whether she was pregnant. This time, I think the people of West Bengal were expecting or are saying, people all over, I would say, are saying that enough is enough. Now, Mamata Banerjee should have acted a little more sensitively, which she pretended to for the first, I think, 24 hours. Contrary to Mamata Banerjee's characteristic response, she almost ran. She didn't waste any time. She ran over to the parents of the victim to tell them that, look, your daughter has died, and this, mind you, Anand, I am not making up. This the Chief Minister has said in another forum that I went to the parents, I told them that, your daughter is gone, there's absolutely nothing to be done. So why don't you accept 10 lakhs and let sleeping dogs lie? That was when people started getting angry. Plus, you have this Shondip Ghosh, who even Mr. Ranganathan was mentioning. Shondip Ghosh, who is the head of RG Corps. Early in the morning, somebody from his office, somebody allied to him, had called up the parents and initially said that something's happened to your daughter, then went on to say your daughter has committed suicide, which was absolutely supported by the police commissioner of West Bengal, of Kolkata. And that is where people started getting even more angrier. Then what is the cover-up happening? This man, Shondip Ghosh, is asked to resign from RG Corps and put into National Medical in a matter of 4 hours. People started asking more questions. Doctors from RG Corps started asking that here you have a health minister for over 13 years now. There are no CCTVs. There are no basic security personnel on the premises of RG Corps. And while on the subject, I will take one line. I will just add one line. Dr. Shukanta Mojumdar, our state president, had written to the health minister, who is the chief minister, who is the police minister, that there are some 16 points of discrepancies that have come to our notice, among which there are 13 points. I'm not going into all 13 points. A sex racket, illegal selling of vital organs of a human body, reselling and reusing disposable items like syringes and gloves. 1 year went by. This letter has gone in 2023. Health minister did nothing. Now, when the police commissioner comes on the scene and says these things, and then 24 hours, a few days later, when on the 14th, when the rampage that you're talking about, police commissioner puts up his hands and says that I don't have enough resources. So therefore, if a police minister who's there for 13 years has not been able to provide the police commissioner with adequate resources to handle a mob in Kolkata, well, what are people of West Bengal going to do? Coming back to the girl, to the victim, I think Ranganathan ji added that there was a tearing hurry to cover up evidence. Have you ever seen, Anand, in a crime scene, police did not even bother to secure the crime scene. There was no red ribbon saying, don't cross this. Nobody was detained for questioning. We were not asking for arrest. But we didn't see police even trying to. Shondip Ghosh, instead of being transferred to another hospital, should have habitually been handed over to the police. Police should have done some initial questioning. He's the head of RG Corps. We should have known. No. He went on a rampage saying, what is the girl doing there at night? Why was she on night duty? Why was she loitering around? He's the head. He knows very well this poor girl was put through a 36-hour duty hours, and there is absolutely no room for any of the on-call doctors to rest in that hospital. So therefore, people are angry. People everywhere are angry. This is not confined to BJP only. Yes, we are demanding resign Mamata. Mamata Banerjee has no moral right to continue. And this demand, mind you, Anand, again, this is not confined only to BJP. Everyone is saying we demand justice, we demand Mamata's resignation.
Well, I'll tell you what, I have run out of time at the moment, but this is not something that this matter is going to go away, because I think there is just that they say, no, that it's just blown off. This is that final tipping point where things have just gone. It's an inflection point. Sadly, it's happening at a hospital who's named after somebody who walked from street to street, village to village, Radha Govinda Kaur, along with Sister Nivedita, giving out cure to those who needed it. And not just cure, but along with that money also to buy more medicines. That's the history and story from British Bengal times that Radha Govinda Kaur and Sister Nivedita did. And that's when this institution, and that's whom after this institution has been named, and then it was set up as a care facility where nobody would be sent back. And look what has happened to, what has come to pass at this place. That there were people who wanted to just break this place down. There were people who were sent to destroy, demolish, break this place, perhaps in a way to try and spoil DNA evidence or any other semblance of possibility of trying to identify what actually was going around. Out of those 13 points, 2 or 3 other points were perhaps more important, and in the days to come more light will be thrown on those aspects, as Shatrupaji mentioned. I have to wind up for the moment, but thank you very much for joining us this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, it's shocking. It's shocking. But from Bengal, we will now shift the attention and spotlight across the country, from the east to the west to Badlapur, ladies and gentlemen. A grave incident that has ignited widespread outrage in the Thane district and in the Badlapur area. A reputed school being thrust into the spotlight after 2 4-year-old nursery students were sexually assaulted, because the FIR confirms on one of the child that her hymen was open, and this has been done by a 23-year-old sweeper, Eknath Shinde, who's been employed at the institution. The shock and anger surrounding this case have led to massive protests, dramatic visuals emerging from Badlapur as thousands of people, Aam Aadmi, again the middle class, turning out to the street on a call of Badlapur Bandh. Why? Because the local police again tried to drag their feet on the case and to catch the perpetrators. In a span of 10 days, 2 incidences occurred. This offender, encouraged by the fact that there was not so much of action taken, now he is behind bars, he is arrested. The principal suspended, a teacher suspended, an attendant suspended. But all of this only when there was public anger. And this call was for a Badlapur Bandh, and people have turned out in large numbers, blocking the movement of trains, calling for a shutdown of the city, cops resorting to lathi charge, also having to use tear gas shells and firing in the air to try and disperse this crowd, which was largely peaceful, and turned violent when the police started to use hard action. But they went into that school and destroyed that nursery classroom around which this entire incident had happened. Mob pelting stones and also throwing bottles at the cops at the station when they tried to resort to lathi charge to disperse the crowd. They got angry, then calmed down again. The cops eventually towards the evening had to call on RAPF and the Rapid Action Police Force, or the RAF, and then they dispersed these crowds towards the end of the day, around about 6 p.m. this evening. They ransacked the properties. This bandh given by several organizations to protest against this entire incident. Why? Purely because the authorities tried to drag their feet on the entire case. That senior inspector, a lady herself, has now been transferred. She's been shunted. The CM, Deputy CM, everybody is now spoken. The accused Eknath Shinde arrested after the parents insisted on filing a formal complaint despite initial attempts by the cops to try and play down this entire matter by delaying the filing of the FIR for over 12 hours. Eknath Shinde, the Chief Minister, assuring speedy justice and saying this matter will be not only investigated by an SIT, they've been handed over and tasked to investigate this matter, but also said that it will be fast-tracked in courts.
मैंने पहले ही पुलिस कमिश्नर को कहा है कि इसके ऊपर हार्ड एक्शन लेना जरूरी है. जो भी गुनाहगार है उसे कोई भी स्पेयर नहीं करना है. वही फास्ट ट्रैक पर केस लेने को मैंने कहा है. ये स्पेशल पीपी देने अपॉइंट करने की बात मैंने कही है. और जो स्कूल है, जो संस्था है, उन्होंने भी ऐसे कर्मचारी जो डायरेक्ट लड़कियों को डील करते हैं, हैंडल करते हैं, उनको उनकी ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड देखना चाहिए, उनका बैकग्राउंड देखना चाहिए, पूरी तरह परख कर ऐसे लोगों को काम पर रखना चाहिए. इसलिए संस्था चालकों का भी, ये संस्था का भी इंक्वायरी होनी चाहिए, उसके ऊपर भी कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए. दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण घटना है, दुखद घटना है, और ये संस्था के चालक जो है उन्होंने परख के लोगों को लेना चाहिए.
Now let's get you the timeline of the incident. 12th of August, 2 4-year-old, the reports surfaced that they have been assaulted, sexually assaulted by the school sweeper. 16th of August, the cops reached the police station for a complaint, and an FIR is registered after 12 hours of the complaint being registered, because the parents realized that their children don't want to go to school, and when they were questioned, they say that they have been touched after being disrobed, and then a medical examination suggests and then says that that one of the girls had her hymen open, a 4-year-old. 19th of August, parents demand action The school principal, against the school principal, class teacher and the female attendant, they have been suspended. 20th of August, the accused was arrested, sent to police custody. Locals stormed Badlapur railway station. Agitators vandalized the school. The incident coming to light when one of the girls confided to her grandfather about sexual abuse by the school sweeper and why he would take her and her friend to the washroom and then disrobe them and then insert at their private parts, insert his fingers and spread his hands over their private parts. That's when they were done. They went there and got a medical examination done, and the FIR quotes that one of the girls had her hymen open. They were afraid to go to school. That's why the anger of the middle class, of the people saying, if our own children are not going to be safe in school, then where else will they be safe? But these glaring lapses in the case. First one, the school didn't ensure women staff in the nursery section. There was no CCTV camera there. The school, it was not working at all. FIR registered 12 hours after the incident, and an attempt to play down this entire effort. Play it down altogether. There have been similar molestation cases in the past in Maharashtra. February 2024, Kapurwadi, a 27-year-old bus attendant arrested for allegedly molesting 6 girls and 2 boys during a school picnic. 23rd December, in Mumbai Sign, a 35-year-old teacher arrested for allegedly molesting a 16-year-old class 10 student in school. Jan 2015, this was a few years ago in Thane. Superintendent of a state-run boarding school arrested for allegedly molesting 10 girls aged between 12 and 15 for over a month. And then, of course, nearly a decade and a half ago in Thane, a primary school principal arrested for allegedly molesting a 9-year-old female student. So this has happened again and again. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the middle class whose anger is coming out, and you can witness this, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because the middle class bears the brunt of it again and again and again, and when they say enough is enough, you see them protesting out on the streets. And the middle class gets upset when the system fails to protect their interests. The system fails to do its job. Those tasked with the responsibility of protecting the public refuse to do their job or fail to do their job, and institutions, organizations, schools, colleges and workplaces don't provide their loved ones the safety which they believe they will get in these close premises. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen. Amid the backlash over the lateral entry, the Modi government has made a U-turn. Under heat from some of its own allies within the NDA and as well as the opposition, the Modi government has withdrawn its controversial advertisement for lateral entry issued on the 17th of August for lateral entry in 45 posts in central government's various departments, and this is by the UPSC. So they will be at the Joint Secretary, Deputy Secretary, Director and Deputy Secretary level. Union Minister in the PMO and also the DOPT Minister, Dr. Jitendra Singh, earlier in the day wrote to the UPSC Chairman Preeti Sudhan seeking the cancellation of the advertisement. In his letter, he said PM Modi is of the firm belief that the process of lateral entry must be aligned with the principles of equity and social justice enshrined in the Constitution, particularly concerning the provisions of reservation. Since these positions have been treated as specialized and designated as single cadre posts, there has been no provision for reservation in these appointments, and this aspect needs to be reviewed and reformed in the context of the Prime Minister's focus on ensuring social justice, and hence I urge the UPSC to cancel the advertisement. But now it seems the opposition has tasted blood, as withdrawal of the order marks the government's third rollback in Modi 3.0, as they claim that the government is already on a rollback mode, citing instances of withdrawing the budget announcement on indexation, putting the draft broadcast bill on the back burner, and also sending the Waqf bill to the JPC. So 3 points there, and this is the fourth instance where an advertisement has been rolled back. In defense, senior ministers Ashwini Vaishnav, Arjun Ram Meghwal cited the recommendation of the UPA era Second Administrative Reforms Commission or SAC and referred to the recruitment of Dr. Manmohan Singh, Monteng Singh Ahluwalia, among others, asking whether principles of quota were adhered to then. On lateral entry, the hypocrisy by the Congress is also out and clear for all of us to see. When in government, the UPA's 2008 notification explicitly mentioned lateral entry into certain civil posts. But now the Congress says government's lateral entry initiative is an anti-national step. Earlier, the UPA notification said outside talent desirable for certain positions. But now the Congress says government's lateral entry is meant to scuttle quota for SC, STs and OBCs. So when they were in power, they brazenly, and that's the allegation even the letter by Dr. Jitendra Singh makes, that allegedly they used bias and they were partisan, selective in who they appointed in these posts. But the government so far has been trying to be as transparent as possible in these appointments since 2014. Here on the right stand last evening, we quoted two DOPT orders on 2016 and 2019 and also another order by the MHA, which underlined the 2019 order saying that the quotas, reservations as enshrined in the constitution and as by law should be adhered to. These notifications, the last one came out in 2020. But now this will extend even to these single cadre posts that have been created, 45 of them. The revised advertisement should be expected soon. Let's listen into some of the reactions.
जो ये राहुल गांधी जी जो नेता प्रतिपक्ष भी हैं लोकसभा में, वो बेबुनियाद आरोप हम पर लगा रहे हैं। तो मैं उनसे पूछना चाहता हूं कि क्या डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी, जिनको आपने सीधा ही वित्त सचिव बनाया, लेटरल एंट्री नहीं था क्या?
This was the opening of the door to the ending of reservations. So that is why Mr. Rahul Gandhi, Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge, other political leaders of India parties said that this is an assault on the constitution, this is the privatization of the IAS and the civilian bureaucracy, and we demanded a rollback. And within 2 days, till yesterday, the blame was Ashwini Vaishnav and other ministers were blaming Dr. Manmohan Singh. Some people were saying ये नेहरू की ज़माने से चला आ रहा है. So they were now trying to find excuses.
देखिए, मैं और मेरी पार्टी पूरी तरीके से स्पष्ट है कि जिस तरीके से ये नियुक्तियां निकाली हैं, कतई हम लोग इसका समर्थन नहीं करते और ख़ास तौर पर सरकारी नियुक्तियां कोई भी हों, उसमें आरक्षण के प्रावधानों का ध्यान रखने की ज़रूरत है।
Lateral entry positions, ladies and gentlemen, are not permanent positions. They are contractual temporary assignments for just about 3 and maximum extendable only to 5 years. We've got to take a short break. Stay with us.
As well, we already have the committees, we are further strengthening it, and we'll have to see that with this kind of unfortunate incident, we'll have to take care that such incidents don't happen anywhere else in Maharashtra, and that's why my entire team of education department is sitting here with me. Unfortunately, that is my duty also, to leave for Badlapur because it is a need of the hour, but I'll join back. Until 12 o'clock, I asked my all officers
one question,
to be
Mr. K. Sarkar,
in
before we let you go.
Will
we understand it's an important time for you, crucial time for you. You're telling us about the several assurances from the state government sent, but how is this allowed to happen, sir? You're telling us that, you personally have ensured that schools are installing CCTV cameras, all of those surveillance measures are in place, but that's exactly what didn't happen here. That's exactly what was not being followed in the school.
You will have to understand that CCTV was not working. Everywhere we have more than 1 lakh schools and we have 2 crore students studying in Maharashtra. However, we have systems by which we see to it that such incidents don't happen. This anger of people was specially against the lady senior PI who has not registered the FIR for nearly 8 to 10 hours. And that is the main anger of the people. And second thing is that they are demanding for immediate action on the culprit, which we are in process of doing. And I think that at the same time, I'll have to take every precaution to say that every child in Maharashtra is safe. And if you go through all the records, you will find that Maharashtra is the only state which is implementing this child safety measures very strictly and stringently. And I personally take stock of all the situations, and definitely here also we'll see whether the committee was formed or not.
By the time the authorities swing into action, such horrendous, unfortunate incidents have taken place already. We can't take away those times, those phases, those memories.
I'm not talking with you today. My record will tell you that 8 months back we have instructed all schools, we have formed the committees. In spite of that, if some school makes a mistake, we'll take a strong action against them, because it is on the school level, because we have a different system in Maharashtra, that these are aided schools where the management is private and we pay the teacher's salary. So there, if the management is found to be at fault, we'll cancel that school's grants also and we'll close that school also, because we are very strict about child safety. So
one
you will have to
is
understand
a
that
lapse
it was
on
not
part
a
of the school
government school,
administration,
it
Mr.
was
K.
aided
Sarkar. The
government
other is
school.
on part of the police. The delay in filing the FR in the first place. Why will it not anger the family members, the people, the parents of so many other students sending their young girls to schools?
Back on the right stand, ladies and gentlemen, for a while around this death of a wanted criminal in Hardeep Nijjar, the Five Eyes nations, the US, the Canada, the UK, Australia and New Zealand, largely driven by the US and Canada, have tried to corner Bharat, saying that Bharat tried to neutralize, or Bharat's agents, intelligence agencies, the RNAW behind it, that's what they allege, that we tried to neutralize as a country these elements on foreign soil, and especially a Canadian citizen in Nijjar, a wanted Khalistani secessionist who's also broken the laws of Canada. But now, more than a year later, when the RCMP and also the investigating authorities have not been able to furbish one naya paisa of concrete proof of Bharat's official involvement or the Bharatiya government's involvement, inputs coming to the fore, ladies and gentlemen, at this point. Intel sources, and this is our security affairs editor Manoj Kumar Gupta getting us these details. Inputs that point that this is a drug cartel. These gangsters and terrorists who have fled the country are busy doing their nefarious activity on Canadian soil, and they are working in cahoots with the enemy, and it's and being puppeted by the ISI. Nijjar succession war. Who after Hardeep Nijjar? This is the war that's going on. Recent attacks on 5 terrorists, wanted people by the Bharatiya government on Canadian soil, and also those who have been orchestrating trouble on Indian soil while acting on the behest of the ISI. Rahat Rao, Tariq Kayani, Raghbir Nijjar, Satinder Pal Singh Raiju, who's very, very close to Kurpatwant Panun, member of the SFJ, to a banned organization, a wanted proscribed organization, and a wanted person designated as a terrorist by the Indian government, Kurpatwant Panun. This guy, Satinder Pal Singh Raiju, was close to him. And the Nijjar killing accused, who was attacked in jail with links to Hardeep Nijjar. Now it is part of a fight over succession and drug money. The ISI wants to eliminate all those close associates of Nijjar because they want to corner this entire game and control it directly. The move is to close all leads that connects this to the ISI. It's a dangerous double game being played. So the ISI or the Pak-backed elements try and neutralize these people, put the blame on Bharat, and then there is this major game that's played. Pak under pressure to eliminate Nijjar's associates. Pak using Khalistani gangs to kill Nijjar's aides. These are inputs. And also let's get you details on who are these aides of Nijjar who have been attacked recently. One is Rahat Rao. He's an ISI agent. He was attacked in Canada. He's in touch with all these nefarious elements and trying to recruit them and play this entire Khalistani aspect of the K2 formula. Then Rahat Rao, attacked by unknown people, handles forex business in Surrey central area. Now the Surrey region and that one Gurdwara is the one which is the hotbed of this whole thing, fulcrum of this entire activity that's vitiating the atmosphere and working on the secessionist agenda against Bharat. Now, the attackers visited Rao in the guise of a customer. The attacker set Rahat Rao on fire and then ran away. Rahat Rao was questioned in the Nijjar murder case. Tariq Kayani, attacked by unknown people in Surrey in Canada. Kayani is the owner of a channel in Surrey. Now his shop was attacked where he runs this entire printing business, and the reason behind the attack is not yet known. Kayani was under the RCMP scanner in the Nijjar murder case. He was recently seen with the Pak Consul General. Nijjar's killer was attacked. He was attacked in a Surrey detention center. Three accused have been detained there and they are all facing trial. The matter is under. One of them was attacked. Many say it was a low internal rivalry and he was attacked by one of the co-prisoners. Attack, however, was not serious in nature, but there was an attack. Reason behind this attack not known yet. Reports suggest some personal fights may have been the reason. Sources have not ruled out the conspiracy theory yet. Raghbir Singh, Hardeep Nijjar's cousin. Raghbir was also attacked, ex-president of the Guru Nanak Sikh temple in Sari, and he is trying to fight those elections again. Very close friend of the SFJ chief Gurpatwant Pannu. Raghbir was allegedly also involved in the drug business. According to RCMP, extortion might be one of the reasons for the attack. Attackers allegedly wanted to grab the money that is amassed via selling and routing drugs. That's the allegation and that's the assumption. ISI is also looking for its share in this entire drug business. Satinder Pal Singh Raju is a close associate of Hardeep Nijjar. He was attacked in San Francisco on US soil on the 11th of August. The attackers were sitting inside a truck and they actually sprayed bullets. Sushant Sareen, Ramnik Man with us. Namaste and Jai Hind, gentlemen. Now, there are a lot of angles to this. This is all a bunch of gangsters fighting against each other, and the whole story being spun is that Bharat is orchestrating these killings. Ramnik Man.
Okay, so Anand, the thing is that Canada is going through the time which, let's say, India was during the 70s to 90s. You know, the Sikh extremism in Canada is touching its peak nearly, is also because they have a lot of political patronage, and this patronage is not just from the NDP or from the Liberals, it's also from the Conservatives. So if you look at the association of these secessionists or these Khalistanis, you will find not just the politicians or the foreign agencies, like you mentioned the Five Eyes, I'll mention the ISI also, and they are involved with the drug cartels, they are involved with the gangsters, they are involved with the politicians. The state, the Canadian state is giving them patronage, and the patronage is because in lieu of their patronage, they get political mileage. Whether it is Justin Trudeau of the Liberals, or it is Tim Uppal, or it's Perry Oliver of the Conservatives, or it's NDP. I mean, Jagmeet is openly pro-Khalistan, it's openly anti-India. So these are the situations that they have created for themselves, and it is not about religion anymore. If you ask me, honestly, you look at Gurpatwant Pannu's appearance, he does not even appear like us. So it's not about ideology, it is not about religion, it is about power, it is about money, it is about how much you control. And when you mention Guru Nanak Sikh Temple, Sari, it is one of the highest crossing Gurdwaras. And the ISI has been funding these radicals for a very long time, and it's now time for them to pay back. I would like to draw your attention to the 1984 speech of Ajaib Singh Bagdi, who is the founder of WSO, World Sikh Organization.
Yeah.
And he said in Punjabi High Court, "Jadon tak asi 50,000 Hindu nahi maar lange, asi saah nahi lavange." Give me a brief second and I'll play the clip for you. So, I mean, now why I'm bringing this up is because Tim Uppal, who's a member of Parliament from the Conservative Party, his wife, Kiran Uppal, she's associated with the WSO for a very long time. And let me just play this for you. So, and this is something which has been on not since now but since 1984. They've been pledging to kill Hindus, and they've been vandalizing the temples, and they have been at it for a while now. And it's all culminating and it's all getting out of hands because there is a MLAT, that's a mutual legal agreement treaty between Canada and India, which brings Canadians under obligation to hand over criminals, to extradite them to India. There are close to 30 extradition requests pending with the Canadians.
Yeah.
And these people who are in the business of 1, extortion, 2, terrorism, 3, drugs, 4, secessionism, 5, murders. If they are not extradited to India, they will do precisely this in Canada. And it's also a power struggle between 2 different rivaling Khalistani gangs.
Right.
Whether it is supported by the WSO or by the SFJ or by the ISI. Now there is a power struggle between these. One is upping the other. So I will not rule out the hand of Pannu in the assassination of Nijjar also. So these are the sorts of situations which the Canadians have brought themselves in. This is a recipe for disaster. India has faced this, and now Canadians are facing it. It's their own creation. This is a monster which is getting out of their hands.
No, but this monster and these monsters would not have been on Canadian soil and US soil unless the deep state or some of the core intelligence or the CIA was involved in this. That's why I mentioned the Five Eyes, Sushant Sareen. So what's this whole game, and is it all coming undone?
Parmar was also not extradited on India's request. You know the reason for his not extraditing him was, Sareen Saab, the Canadian government, Perry Trudeau, Justin Trudeau's father, had given a reason that India is not respectful enough towards the Queen. That is why we will not extradite him. And what happened? Kanishka happened thereafter. So they are again asking for a big disaster in Canada, and it will happen for sure.
So the father set the tone and the son follows between the Prime Ministers of Canada. Sushant Sareen ji, yeah.
Yeah. So look, Anand, I think it's good that India has not been very respectful towards the Queen. We gave her due deference, which she deserved as a head of state. But if anybody expected that India would genuflect before her, we were not going to do it. So they can go and take a hike for all we care. One. Secondly, at least one thing is very clear, that the succession war after Nijjar is not for his plumbing job, it's for his criminal enterprise, right? But you know, the Canadian media, the virtue signaling they were doing that this guy was an honest plumber, that was his front. The real business that these guys are doing is they're criminal thugs. They're involved in criminal networks, they're involved in drug trafficking, and then it's a kind of a complex web which is at play, which involves Latin American and other drug cartels from South America and Central America. It involves them. It involves many of these guys who work as truckers, who have gone as illegal immigrants. Many of them who work as truckers are actually drug mules, and then they also run extortion networks and the other things which Ramneek has spoken about. The tragic part is that these guys have been given political license in Canada. It's the kind of politics we sometimes see even in India, where criminal thugs are actually patronized, are protected by politicians because they think that it will yield them rich political dividends. We have paid a heavy price for it. The Canadians are going to start paying a very heavy price for it because these guys are crazies, many of them, right? And we are already seeing the kind of law and order problems which are starting to manifest themselves in Canada. They need to be careful about that. My big problem with some of these thugs is that when they take over a Gurdwara, that is the worst form of beadbi than anything else. So the kind of beadbi they do, because all kinds of nefarious activities happen in Gurdwaras, in Guru, and I don't see how that can be acceptable to, forget the Sikhs, how it can be acceptable even to the Hindu community, because many of us have a common, link of faith. So one is that, and then to see the Canadian politicians go to these very same dens, because I think it would be a travesty to call them Guru Ghars. They go into these dens of these criminals and actually pay obeisance out there. Now, how does that work? So I think we need to be very clear about it. We need to be very, we need to bring this out, and I think there's some work which is taking place in trying to unravel the kind of nexus which exists. Just to dumb it down, the drugs which are sent into Punjab, which generate a lot of the money, that money is then transported back into Canada. A lot of drugs are also flowing into Canada from many of these characters. So it's a very, very complex web which is in place. Right. Now the Canadians, either partly for political reasons, because they, even in the 80s, Anand, people very often forget, the Americans and the Brits and all these guys turned a blind eye to Khalistani activity simply because it was a pressure point on India. And that was a time when the Pakistanis, who were their favorites, were involved in Afghanistan. So they felt that, look, keep India unsettled and let this thing grow. Then for about 20-30 years, they forgot about it. Suddenly, over the last 5-6 years, we've seen this thing again gaining steam.
Correct.
I seriously, I'm convinced that, the deep state, as you call it the Five Eyes, you call it what you will, but there is a kind of, turn a blind eye to the activities of these thugs, let them carry on doing. The day we want to clean it up, we'll sweep them all in. I don't think it will be that easy. because then they will
Right.
be bound by their own legal systems, they'll be bound by their own political systems. They won't find it that easy, because many of these guys, Anand, and this is extremely important, they are like the mafia.
Right.
They have infiltrated in the administrative service, they have infiltrated
Jay.
into politics, they have infiltrated into the legal system.
They have,
So if
they have actually they have embedded
I don't
they have embedded themselves. This warrants a longer discussion, and we'll do that very soon. But Ramneek Maan, Sushant Sareen, thank you very much for your time, gentlemen. Thank you. So there is a history to this, ladies and gentlemen, but right now it's all unraveling itself, and perhaps there will be those who will have to retract their words. House of Commons, are they watching? Thank you for watching. Bye for now.
Madam, I cannot hear you properly, but as far as I could understand a little, I think you are talking about the delay in the FIR.
Yes.
That we have taken action, and I have requested the Honorable Home Minister to suspend that lady, not only transfer her, but suspend her, so that there won't be any negligence in future from the police department as well.
Will a committee be constituted? Something?
I'll have to, madam, leave now for Badlapur,
some decision
because the
taken
crowd
in that
there is
direction,
demanding
perhaps,
for
Mr. K. Sarkar, so that there is regular surveillance, more checks and balances in place, sir, going forward?
Of course, what I have done now, that we are installing our own system by which our commissioner office would be linked with each school. And while doing this automation, I have asked them to take children's safety as the first priority. And that will be done, because that's why I will be sitting them till late in the night, and we'll make a perfect system that everything comes to us immediately. And the department reacts on it immediately. But right now I'm Education Minister, so I'll have to coordinate with the Home Ministry as well. And our Honorable Home Minister is very sensitive. Every 15-20 minutes the Honorable CM is online with me, instructing me what is to be done in Maharashtra. They are very much concerned about the current situation and what unfortunate incidents happen. So I have spoken to Child and Women Welfare Department also, so that the immediate help reaches the parents. Also, the good mental care is to be taken by the small children. That is also will be taken. So I am visiting the spot immediately, and there will take every care to see that the family is properly protected, her identity is not known to anybody, and at the same time help also reaches them in time. So whatever unfortunate incidents has happened, we feel very sorry about that, and we are taking every step to see that such incidents don't happen elsewhere.
Minister, Maharashtra Minister joining us on the broadcast. Mr. K. Sarkar, first up, tell us a little bit about the investigations. There is so much anger. The anger is very visible on the streets. Across the state, we're going to see this kind of a movement pick up in hours to come. What's happening as far as investigations are concerned, Mr. Deepak?
The delay in taking the FIR is the cause of anger among the people. The concerned lady who was senior PI in that police station is transferred, but now I am requesting the Honorable Home Minister to suspend her. As far as Education Department is concerned, the principal of that school, the class teacher and 2 assistants are already suspended. Action is, show cause notice is being issued on the school. My entire department is with me in Mumbai.
Federal Bank Primetime Studio.
A very good evening. You're watching Brass Tacks. I'm Akanksha Swaroop, and we are coming live to you from the CNN News 18 and Federal Bank Primetime Studio. What is equality under the Constitution if women cannot be safe in their workplace? That's what Chief Justice of